the goal line interception. The Seattle Seahawks were 1 yard away from a second straight Super Bowl win. Marshawn Lynch was in his prime, feared across the league for punishing defenses. Everyone expected the obvious call, give it to beast mode. Instead, the Seahawks chose a slant pass. Russell Wilson dropped back, fired toward Ricardo Lockett, and Malcolm Butler jumped the route, sealing the game for New England. That single decision didn't just cost Seattle a championship, it fractured the locker room. Players openly questioned the coaching staff, and the dynasty talk ended overnight. Pete Carroll and Wilson never fully escaped the criticism. One play defined their careers in ways years of success couldn't undo. It became the most infamous call in NFL history, a permanent reminder that sometimes the simplest choice is the right one. Plaxico Burress's gunshot. Plaxico Burress had just caught the game-winning touchdown in Super Bowl 42, cementing himself in Giants history, but within 2 years, one mistake destroyed everything. At a nightclub in 2008, Burress accidentally shot himself in the leg with an unlicensed gun he had tucked in his waistband. No one else was hurt, but the consequences were devastating. He was arrested, sentenced to prison, and missed nearly 2 full seasons of football. When he returned, he was never the same player, bouncing briefly with the Jets before fading out of the league. Burress went from Super Bowl hero to cautionary tale overnight. His career should have been defined by clutch catches, but instead, it's remembered for a self-inflicted wound that derailed everything. One slip of judgment became the end of his prime. Manziel's partying. Johnny Manziel was supposed to be the future. Drafted in the first round by the Browns, his college highlights made him look unstoppable. But his weakness wasn't talent, it was lifestyle. Manziel prioritized parties over preparation, spending nights in clubs instead of studying film. Reports surfaced of him missing practices, ignoring coaches, and relying on raw ability that no longer worked in the NFL. The league demands discipline, and Manziel never adjusted. His reckless behavior led to suspensions, fines, and endless tabloid headlines. Within 2 years, the Browns gave up on him entirely. Attempts at comebacks fizzled because he never truly changed his approach. Manziel is remembered less for his Heisman magic and more for how fast it all unraveled. His downfall wasn't bad luck. It was self-inflicted by constant partying. JaMarcus Russell's work ethic. JaMarcus Russell was supposed to save the Raiders. Drafted number 1 overall in 2007, he had a rocket arm and rare size, but he quickly became a symbol of wasted potential. His biggest flaw wasn't talent, it was effort. Coaches handed him blank DVDs and asked him to study. He returned claiming he'd watched the Blitz packages. He hadn't even noticed the disc was empty. Russell showed up overweight, unprepared, and unwilling to put in the work needed at the pro level. Despite a massive contract, he lasted just 3 seasons. His name is now shorthand for the word bust. He could have been a generational talent, but a refusal to work turned him into one of the NFL's most infamous failures. The opportunity was there. He simply never cared enough to take it. Josh Gordon's suspension. Josh Gordon was a natural superstar. With the Browns in 2013, he led the league in receiving yards despite missing 2 games, looking like the next unstoppable wideout. But his career became defined not by catches, but by suspensions. Failing repeated tests for substance use, Gordon was sidelined season after season just as he was hitting his prime. Every time he showed a flash of brilliance, another suspension pulled him back into exile. Teams gave him chances, from the Patriots to the Seahawks, but the cycle never ended. His story is one of the biggest what-ifs in NFL history. Fans still wonder how good he could have been if he had stayed eligible. His career was ruined not by injuries or opponents, but by his inability to stay on the field. But first, only cool people are subscribed to this channel, so hit that subscribe button before we go any further. Antonio Brown's helmet. Antonio Brown went from the best receiver in football to a punchline almost overnight. His bizarre fall began with something small, his helmet. When the NFL updated its safety standards, Brown refused to give up his old model. He skipped practices, threatened to retire, and made headlines for weeks over equipment. This was only the beginning. Brown clashed with coaches, froze his feet in a cryotherapy mishap, and finally forced his way out of Oakland without ever playing a snap. He eventually joined the Patriots and Buccaneers, but the drama never stopped. A Hall of Fame career was derailed by one odd decision after another. His helmet standoff symbolized a superstar unraveling, and his career became known as much for antics as for catches. Brown's downfall was as strange as it was fast. Ryan Leaf's Entitlement. In 1998, the Colts had to choose between Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf. Manning became a legend, Leaf became a disaster. His weakness was attitude. Coaches and teammates described him as entitled, arrogant, and unwilling to take criticism. He clashed with reporters, berated staff, and refused to prepare the way an NFL quarterback should. On the field, the results were even worse. Turnovers, poor decisions, and no leadership. By his third year, he was already out of San Diego. Leaf's career is a reminder that talent alone doesn't matter without humility and work ethic. His meltdown is often called the worst draft mistake in NFL history, not just because he failed, but because his ego made failure inevitable. He had every chance to succeed, but his entitlement burned every bridge. Ray Rice's elevator incident. Ray Rice was a Pro Bowl running back with the Ravens, known for power and durability. But in 2014, a single mistake ended his career instantly. Security footage surfaced of Rice striking his fiancée in an elevator, and the fallout was immediate. The NFL suspended him, and the Ravens cut ties. Even when the suspension was lifted, no team wanted the backlash that came with signing him. Rice was only 27, still in his prime, but his career ended on the spot. What made it worse was how preventable it was. One moment of violence erased years of success. His story became a turning point for how the NFL handled domestic incidents, but it also remains a stark example of how quickly a career can vanish. His mistake cost him everything, so hit that subscribe button before we go any further. Aaron Hernandez's crimes. Aaron Hernandez was once seen as the future of the Patriots offense. A dynamic tight end paired with Rob Gronkowski, he was unstoppable on the field. But off the field, his decisions destroyed everything. Hernandez was arrested and charged in connection with violent crimes that shocked the sports world. Overnight, his NFL career was finished and his contract voided. He went from Pro Bowls and Super Bowl appearances to a courtroom, his name forever tied to scandal. The Patriots erased him from team history, pulling his jerseys from stores. Hernandez's downfall was one of the fastest and most disturbing in NFL history, proving no amount of talent can overcome reckless choices. His career is a chilling reminder that success in the NFL doesn't matter if your life off the field spirals into chaos. Ricky Williams' weed. Ricky Williams was a powerhouse running back, carrying the Dolphins with his rare blend of size and speed. But in 2004, at the height of his prime, he shocked the NFL by walking away. His reason? To focus on personal life, meditation, and marijuana use. Teammates were blindsided, fans were stunned, and Miami was left without its star just before training camp. Williams eventually returned, but the gap in his career robbed him of momentum and prime years. While he found peace in his personal journey, his football career never fully recovered. He remains one of the most talented backs to leave the game too soon. His decision to step away, though admirable to some, became the defining moment of his career, a mistake that cost him lasting greatness on the field. Vontaze Burfict's dirty hits. Vontaze Burfict had all the talent to be a Pro Bowl linebacker for years, but he couldn't stay out of trouble. Known for reckless and dangerous hits, he built a reputation as one of the dirtiest players in the NFL. His playoff hit on Antonio Brown in 2016 was so brutal, it arguably shifted the trajectory of two careers. The league responded with fines and suspensions that piled up season after season. Eventually, his constant rule breaking caught up with him, leading to a season-long suspension in 2019, effectively the end of his career. Burfict's inability to change his style erased any chance of redemption. Instead of being remembered as a hard-nosed enforcer, he's remembered as the player who crossed the line too often and couldn't stop himself from self-destruction. Le'Veon Bell's holdout. Le'Veon Bell was the best all-around running back in the NFL, dominating as both a rusher and receiver. But in 2018, he made a choice that altered his career forever, sitting out the entire season in a contract dispute with the Steelers. Bell believed skipping games would secure him a massive payday and protect his body. Instead, he lost a year of his prime and never regained his old form. He eventually signed with the Jets, but the magic was gone. His patience and unique running style didn't hit the same. The Steelers moved on, and so did the league. Bell went from elite to replaceable in record time. His holdout wasn't just a business decision. It was a mistake that cost him his legacy as one of the all-time greats. Colin Kaepernick's NFL exit. Colin Kaepernick once electrified the league, leading the 49ers to a Super Bowl and redefining the quarterback position with his dual-threat style. But his career was cut short when he chose to kneel during the national anthem in 2016 as a protest against racial injustice. The decision sparked nationwide controversy, dividing fans, owners, and politicians. Kaepernick's play declined slightly, but many believed he was still good enough to start. Yet no team signed him again. Whether viewed as blackballing or simply a risk owners didn't want to take, his career ended far too soon. His story is unique, one of the few players defined more by an off-field stand than on-field performance. Kaepernick's exit wasn't caused by injuries or age, but by a moment that reshaped both football and culture. Josh Rosen's ego. Josh Rosen entered the NFL with confidence that bordered on arrogance. Drafted 10th overall by the Cardinals in 2018, he infamously declared that 9 mistakes were made ahead of him. But his play never matched the hype. Rosen struggled with accuracy, pocket awareness, and adjusting to the speed of the NFL. More concerning, reports from teammates and coaches painted a picture of a player unwilling to adapt or take accountability. Within a year, Arizona replaced him with Kyler Murray, and Rosen became a journeyman bouncing from roster to roster. His ego and lack of development left him without a real shot to rebuild his career. Rosen's downfall wasn't just poor play, it was his attitude. He believed greatness was guaranteed, and that belief ended up costing him everything. Lawrence Phillips' violence. Lawrence Phillips came into the NFL with endless hype. Drafted 6th overall in 1996, he was seen as a generational running back talent, but his violent behavior off the field overshadowed everything he did on it. From college to the pros, Phillips had repeated run-ins with the law involving disturbing incidents of abuse and aggression. Teams gave him chances. The Rams, Dolphins, and 49ers all tried, but the pattern never stopped. His lack of control ended his career almost as quickly as it began. Despite flashes of dominance, Phillips became a symbol of wasted potential and reckless choices. His story is one of the darkest in NFL history, a reminder that talent cannot erase character flaws. If you like this video, consider watching this next one, which YouTube thinks you are going to really love.